Okay, so now we want to actually set up our static routes, and I'm not going to do this one live in the same way that I've done previous recordings and in the same way that I'll do future recordings. This one we're going to actually do in Notepad. Now, we talked a little bit last time about saving your configurations in Notepad, and so I have done that for my static routes. I did a couple of other things too. The first thing I did was I created a network list, and this is all of the networks that are in my autonomous system. So put these all out here. These are all of the networks that are covered, on our topology here. Now, I'm not doing anything that's in either the red or the blue here. I'm just doing the ones that are in the black. And if you are colorblind, basically what I'm doing is I'm doing everything that's connected from here up. I'm not doing these switches, the local area networks, just yet. So from that network list, I created a set of IP route statements, and these are IP route statements. This is the like for a specific network, you're going to do IP route, and you will do the network number and the subnet mask, and then the outgoing interface. You can also use the next hop IP address, but I like to do the outgoing interface. And so we have route statements for every route in our network. And then I went ahead up here and I created a default static route, which is called a quad 0 route. And I'll show you how we use that in just a minute. So from that, I went ahead and in each of the routers on here, I went ahead and added in the static routes. And we're going to start here with the Dayton edge. And so on the Dayton edge, if we look at it here, we've got IP route statements, lots and lots of IP route statements. This is the most complex one because it's really the center of the topology. And we'll see that at a fast Ethernet here, we've got this one. And if we go back over to our topology, that's for this network down here. Or, well, not really these networks, but it's actually this network over here. Now, these networks are directly connected, so you don't have to put anything for that. This network is directly connected, so you don't have to put anything for that. And this one, these are directly connected networks. You do not have to put those on there. But you'll notice that we've got a bunch of IP routes here, and those indicate that they're going out the serial 01, and that is all the networks that are over here that need to be reached. And then we've got two networks here that are out the serial 0. And if we look at our topology here, that's these networks that are over here. And then the rest of these are all going down to the serial 02, and that's all of the stuff that's down this direction. Now, I have not put a default static route on this particular topology. You generally would. In a previous video, I mentioned that this was going to be the location where we would put our internet access, and once we do that here, then we can go ahead and put that default static pointing out this direction. So that's this particular Dayton router. And so I'm going to close that. I'm going to show you a different router here. Well, let's just show you, for instance, on the Dayton edge, on the Dayton internal router. Now, this is really, really simple. And so if you look at our topology here, it knows how to get to the stuff that's over here because that's directly connected. It knows how to get here. And really everything that it needs to get that's not directly connected is out through the Dayton edge router. So all of the internal routers are going to basically just have a default static route and that's going to be it. And that's what you normally see, you know, in a very, very small network. You just have a default static, it points out toward the internet, and that's the end of it. Let's pick one more router here that is randomly complex. So let's do the Louisville, Kentucky Edge router. And so this one has a series of routes that are coming out the S01, and that basically is for the networks over here. And then I've got actually a network missing in this one. I do not have a route for the 88.1 network, which I do need to have here. I'll go ahead and put that in here right now. IP route, and we'll do 170.32.88.0, 5.255.255. Whoops. .0, and it needs to go at the FA 0/0. Okay. So we'll need to actually be sure I put this in. But all these other, so that's everything else. If it's not, you know, in the bottom of the topology, and it's not this network over here, then it's going to be out this direction. So what we want to do is we want to minimize the number of statements we put in, use the default static when it's appropriate. With that, we'll move over here to the topology, and we'll pick something like the Dearborn Edge here, and we'll do we'll ping 170.32.118.1. That's kind of on the very bottom of the topology. And because of these static routes, it may take just a little bit longer for things to get in the ARP cache, because it has to come through ARP caches for all these different devices. And so let's also do this on the far left. Our Fremont LAN segment over there is 58.1. And so we'll double check to make sure that we can actually get to that one as well. And so we have connectivity to all of the routers in the topology. Now I'm going to recommend that instead of doing these by hand, that you erase start each of the routers, and that you put the topology in. So I'm going to go over here to I'm going to demonstrate that. I actually need to make a change in this one because I forgot that fast Ethernet interface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this configuration. I'm going to save it here, but I'm going to enable and then do erase start, and I'm going to reload, and this will take just a moment. Going to not enter the initial configuration dialog, and this is all the way back to totally clear. And I'm going to paste this stuff that I just saved, hit enter, and then let's show the route here. You notice these are all static routes are all put in, and let's see if I can ping 170.32.118.1. Let's go up and hit 18.1, and let's hit 15.1. Okay, so that's how I'd recommend that you go ahead and create a configuration for each of your different routers. Create your list of networks, create your network statements based off of which direction that is from that particular router, and then paste those back into each of the devices. You know, and at the end of this, we're going to actually convert to a dynamic protocol, and at that point you're going to need to basically erase all of these static routes. And I'd recommend you do the same thing where you erase, start, reload, and put your new configurations in. Okay, we'll see you next time.